Tonight, while you sleep, your body is going to do one of two things: quietly rebuild the muscle you've worked to keep, or quietly lose a little more of it. And which one happens depends on 3 decisions you make in the hour before you turn off the light, not during the 8 hours after. Most advice about sleep after 50 treats it as pure rest. Lie down, hope for the best, see how you feel in the morning. But researchers studying older adults specifically have found 3 concrete, checkable things that change what your body actually does overnight. What you eat in the last hour before bed, what your muscles and joints do in the last 30 minutes, and a number most people have completely backwards: the exact temperature your bedroom should be. That last one surprised the researchers who found it. In the next 20 minutes, the evening protein shown in a randomized trial to measurably shift older adults' bodies toward rebuilding muscle overnight. A 5-minute stretching routine shown in a controlled trial to cut nighttime leg cramps, and the real bedroom temperature research on adults over 65, which is not the number most sleep advice tells you. Put together, this is a system, not a bedtime story. Welcome to Well Past 50, where getting older is something we build for, not something we brace for. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to pretend to be one tonight. Everything in this video comes from real, peer-reviewed research, plus one study funded by the National Institute on Aging, all linked in the description so you can read them yourself. Here's why I'm calling this a stack instead of just a tip. Almost every piece of sleep advice you've seen treats these things separately. One video about protein, one about stretching, one about your thermostat, if you ever see one about your thermostat at all. Treated separately, each one is a minor tweak. Stacked together in the same 60 to 90 minute window before bed, they target 3 completely different systems at once: your muscle, your joints and nervous system, and your body's own temperature-driven sleep mechanism. That's the difference between a tip and a protocol. So here's tonight's shape. Part 1, the evening protein. What, how much, and exactly when. Part 2, the 5-minute stretch, a real clinical trial linked to fewer night cramps and better sleep. Part 3, the bedroom temperature number recent research says is wrong for people over 65, including probably the number you're using right now. Then I'll show you how the 3 fit into one simple timeline. Subscribe now. Twice a week. Always real sources. Never fear. Let's start with part 1, what you eat in the last hour before bed. You've probably heard the general protein target before, maybe even from this channel, somewhere around 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight a day. Spread across your meals matters more after 50 because your body becomes less efficient at turning protein into muscle, a shift researchers call anabolic resistance. Tonight isn't about that daily total, it's about one specific dose at one specific time that most people skip completely. Here's the research. A randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of Nutrition tested exactly this question in healthy older men. What happens if you drink a casein protein beverage about 30 minutes before sleep? Casein is a slow-digesting milk protein. Unlike whey, which has spikes and clears quickly, casein releases amino acids gradually over several hours, which happens to line up almost exactly with how long you're asleep. The result, protein consumed before sleep was digested and absorbed normally through the night, and measurably increased the rate of whole body muscle protein synthesis during those overnight hours compared to going to bed without it. A separate trial on middle-aged men found a similar bedtime protein drink prevented the negative overnight protein balance that otherwise happens as you sleep, meaning without it, your body tips slightly toward breaking down more muscle than it rebuilds while you're out cold. With it, that tips back the other way. I want to be honest about the limits here because this channel doesn't do hype. The overnight mechanism, protein before sleep, gets used and shifts your body's balance in a better direction. That part is well established, repeated across multiple trials, including one specifically on older men. What's still being studied is the long-term payoff. Does doing this every night for months add up to meaningfully more muscle, not just a better overnight balance in older adults specifically? A systematic review on this exact question found the acute overnight effect solid, but flagged that longer-term evidence in older populations is still catching up. Here's my honest rate. This is a low-cost addition with a real, repeatedly confirmed mechanism behind it, not a miracle, which is exactly the kind of thing worth adding to your evening while the longer research finishes catching up. Practically, here's what this looks like. 20 to 40 grams of a slow-digesting protein about 30 to 60 minutes before you turn off the light. That's roughly a cup of Greek yogurt, a cup of cottage cheese, a glass of milk, or a scoop of casein protein powder mixed with water, whichever fits your kitchen and your evening. If dairy isn't for you, a soy protein isolate shake is the closest a slow-digesting substitute the research points to. 2 hard-boiled eggs work in a pinch too, though the evidence there is thinner. Skip anything heavily sweetened. You're not adding a dessert, you're adding the protein, and skip the temptation to eat less at your other meals to make room for this. It's an addition to your day's total, not a replacement for it. One more honest note, if you're managing kidney disease or another condition that affects how your body processes protein, talk to your doctor before adding a nightly protein habit, the same way you would with any dietary change. Part 2, what your body does in the 30 minutes before you lie down, and this one has a direct clinical trial behind it, not just theory. Researchers ran a randomized controlled trial specifically on older adults, testing a simple, gentle stretching routine done before bed against doing nothing, and measured what happened to nighttime leg cramps, one of the most common complaints in this age group, and one that wrecks sleep quality without most people realizing stretching is a real fix, not a home remedy. The result, the group doing the pre-bed stretching routine had fewer nighttime leg cramps, and the cramps they did get were less severe compared to the group that didn't stretch. Nighttime cramps like this tend to get more common after 50 for a mix of reasons: muscles that got less movement during the day, mild dehydration, and sometimes certain medications like diuretics, which is exactly why a genuinely gentle, low-effort routine tends to help more than people expect. Here's the 5-minute routine, all seated or standing near a wall or sturdy chair for balance. Nothing on the floor required unless you want to. 1. Calf stretch. Hands on a wall, 1 foot back with the heel flat on the ground. Gentle lean forward until you feel it in the back of your lower leg. 30 seconds each side. This is the muscle most directly tied to nighttime cramping, so don't skip it even if you're short on time. 2. Seated hamstring stretch. Sit toward the front of a chair, 1 leg extended with the heel on the floor. Hinge gently forward from the hips until you feel it in the back of the thigh, 30 seconds each side. 3. Standing hip flexor stretch, holding a chair back for balance. Step 1 foot back, gently tuck your hip under until you feel a stretch in the front of that hip. 20 seconds each side. 4. A gentle seated spinal twist. Sitting tall, hand on the opposite knee, rotate slowly and only as far as feels easy, no forcing. 20 seconds each side. None of this should hurt or feel like effort. If a stretch pulls sharply or you're holding your breath to get through it, you're going too far. Gentle is the entire point tonight. This isn't the time to chase a personal record. And beyond the leg cramp study, broader research tracking regular gentle stretching programs in older adults, a few sessions a week over several weeks, has linked the habit to falling asleep more easily, waking up less during the night, and feeling more rested the next day, likely because stretching lowers muscle tension and physical arousal, the opposite of what vigorous exercise close to bedtime tends to do. That's also why this is a stretch routine, not a workout. Save the strength training for earlier in your day. If leg cramps persist most nights, despite this, especially if they started around the same time as a new medication, that's worth mentioning to your doctor rather than stretching through it indefinitely. Part 3, and this is the one that surprised even the researchers who ran the study: the temperature of your bedroom. If you've ever read general sleep advice, you've probably seen 65 degrees Fahrenheit thrown around as the ideal. Cooler is better. Across the board, no exceptions. Here's the problem: that number comes from research on sleep in general, not specifically on adults over 65, and a study funded by the National Institute on Aging, part of the NIH, found that older adults sleep differently. Researchers at the Marcus Institute for Aging Research in Boston tracked 11,000 nights of sleep from 50 adults aged 65 and up, living in senior communities using wearable sensors alongside bedroom temperature monitors for a full year. What they found, sleep efficiency for this age group was actually best somewhere between 68 and 77 degrees Fahrenheit, meaningfully warmer than the 60 to 67 degree range recommended for the general population. When the room crept up past 77 into the low to mid 80s, sleep efficiency dropped by 5 to 10%. So the honest takeaway isn't set your thermostat to exactly 72 and you're done. The researchers also found real differences from person to person, meaning this is a range to experiment inside, not a single magic number for everyone. Why would this be different for people over 65 specifically? Your body naturally drops its core temperature to help trigger deep sleep. That's true at any age, but the ability to buffer against a room that's too cold narrows somewhat as you get older, which means a bedroom cold enough to feel merely brisk to a 25-year-old can genuinely disrupt sleep for someone past 50 rather than deepening it. So if you've been cranking the air conditioning down to 65 at night because that's the generic advice you've always heard, and your sleep has felt worse for it, not better, this research is a real checkable reason why and permission to try warmer. 2 small practical notes that go with this. First, consistency matters roughly as much as the exact number. A bedroom that's a similar temperature night to night helps your body's internal rhythm more than hunting for one perfect degree. Try picking a number in that 68 to 77 range, hold it steady for a week, and pay attention to how many times you wake up. Then adjust by a couple of degrees and compare. Second, if you share a bed with someone whose comfortable temperature is different from yours, a breathable blanket layer or a cooling pillow on one side is a simpler fix than fighting over the thermostat every night. So here's how the 3 parts actually fit into one evening, start to finish. About 90 minutes before you plan to sleep, set your bedroom temperature into that 68 to 77 degree range and leave it. Don't touch it again tonight. Let the room settle. About 60 minutes before bed, your protein, the yogurt, the cottage cheese, the glass of milk, or the shake, 20 to 40 grams. About 30 minutes before bed, the 5-minute stretch routine, done slowly, lights already dimmed if you can manage it, then lie down. That's it. 3 additions stacked into a window you're already living through every single night, none of them requiring new equipment, a gym membership, or an app. If 3 feels like too much to start all at once, pick just one for this week. The temperature change costs you nothing but a thermostat adjustment. So if you only do one thing tonight, that's the easiest place to start. A quick safety note. If you're managing kidney disease, check with your doctor before adding a nightly protein habit. Your protein needs may be different from the general guidance here. If you have a joint replacement, severe osteoporosis, or any condition where gentle stretching has previously caused pain, check with your doctor or physical therapist before starting the routine, and stop any stretch that causes a sharp pain, not just mild tension. And if you have a heart or circulation condition sensitive to temperature changes, introduce a warmer bedroom gradually rather than all at once. Let's lock it in. 3 parts, 1 evening window, protein, 20 to 40 grams of a slow digesting source about an hour before bed, shown in real trials to shift your body toward rebuilding muscle overnight instead of losing it. Mobility, a 5-minute gentle stretch routine, clinically linked to fewer nighttime leg cramps and better sleep quality. And environment, a bedroom between 68 and 77 degrees, based on year-long research specifically on adults over 65, not the generic advice made for everyone else. None of this replaces the sleep habits you already know: consistent bedtime, less screen time, a dark room. It adds 3 more, specifically chosen because they're backed by research done on people your age, not borrowed from a 25-year-old's sleep study. If tonight's routine is 1 thermostat adjustment, 1 glass of milk, and 5 minutes of stretching away from being genuinely different from every night before it, that's worth trying before you decide it won't work. Subscribe. Well, Past 50 publishes twice a week, always with real sources linked below, never with fear. And if you try the stack tonight, come back tomorrow and tell me in the comments what temperature you landed on and whether you noticed a difference. I read every one, and I want to know what's actually working for this community, not just what the research says should work. See you in the next one.